Okay, so the MCU is something I haven't covered on the channel for a little bit of a while, and specifically I made 10 videos after the Multiverse of Madness video, and I've had two projects release in the MCU then, which is Love and Thunder and Miss Marvel, and even one is currently starting as I'm currently making this video, which is She-Hulk. But we'll see if I'll cover that after the next 2 weeks, if it's out when I get these two videos done. But anyways, this week we're covering Love and Thunder, and next week we'll be covering Miss Marvel. So let's just get into a bit of Love and Thunder. This is a 2022 film produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Disney. It is clearly a sequel to Thor Ragnarok and is the 29th film in the MCU. The film is directed by Taika Waititi and co-wrote by Jennifer Caitlin. This film follows Thor as he is on a quest for inner peace. However, his short-lived retirement gets interrupted by Gorr the Butcher, who is a galactic killer who plans to kill all gods. The hero must then get help from his friend Korg, King Valkyrie, and his ex Jane Foster, who is now with the Hammer. Chris Hemsworth as always plays Thor, Christian Bale makes his MCU debut as Gorr, Waititi himself provides the voice as Korg, Tessa Thompson plays Valkyrie, Natalie Portman makes a grand return as Jane Foster, Jamie Alexander returns as Sif, who is now wounded from battling Gorr and worn in Thor, and finally Russell Crowe is playing Zeus, who is lazily not scared of Gorr while hiding away with other gods. Discussions for this film first arose after the release of Ragnarok in November of 2017, when Waititi had a meeting with execs from Marvel Studios about a sequel being greenlit while they discussed ideas for it. Hemsworth went on to say in January 2018 that he was still interested in playing the character even with his contract ending after his appearance at Endgame. It was around then that he and the director discussed what they personally wanted to see in a potential Thor 4 film, and a month later the actor's comments was that he would return if there was another great script written. Tessa Thompson would go on to say in April 2019 that she believed a pitch had been made for a possible sequel with Waititi returning. It seemed by then Hemsworth was fully on board himself after saying he wants to play Thor as long as possible, crediting Waititi for revitalising his interest in the role since he was getting bored of the character before doing Ragnarok. In July 2019, Waititi went on to sign on to direct and write the film. The director wasn't interested in repeating what he did in the prior film, saying he wanted to do something more interesting and creative. Later on the month in San Diego Comic-Con, Kevin Feige went on to announce the film, its title, a release date of November 5th, 2021, Hemsworth's return, Tessa's return, and most importantly, Portman's return as Jane Foster. It is now known she agreed to return after one meeting with Waititi, after it was revealed he was given a lot of creative freedom from the studio to reimagine Jane's role in the film. She then agreed to play a different take on the character who would now be more adventurous and funny. Both Tessa and Kevin went on to say that Valkyrie's bisexuality would be addressed in the film. It is also now known that Hemsworth was paid $20 million to star in the film, which was an increase of the $50 million he was paid for each of his appearances before Ragnarok. However, this time around he was also an executive producer on the film. Jeff Goldblum went on to say in August 2019 that he had a chance of reprising his role as the Grand Master in the film. However, I'll cover more about that later on. Waititi confirmed his reprising as Korg in October 2019. Christian Bale wanted to enter talks to join the cast in January 2020, with pre-production expected to start in April. Tessa went on to confirm that the star would be the villain of the film a month later, with Vin Diesel, who voices Groot, confirming that he has discussed the film with Waititi and was told the Guardians of the Galaxy would be appearing. However, as all Phase 4 films, this was pushed back in early April due to COVID. The film's new release at the time was February 18th, 2022. Pre-production was then delayed, with the director unsure when it would continue. By the end of the same month, Disney however pushed the release date up to February 11th, 2020, with filming set to start in early 2021 by that July. Going back to Jane, in July 2019, Waititi said that the film would adapt elements from Jason Aaron's Mighty Thor comic books, which had the character become a hero named Mighty Thor. Feige further commented on saying that Foster becoming Mighty Thor would be an important part of the film, even saying Marvel considered the comic book to be one of the best modern comic books they had. Waititi also felt that this was perfect since Thor now has the Stormbreaker, but when he sees someone else wielding the hammer, he could feel like someone is taking his place, which is something a lot of fans expected to see happen in this film. Even then, A.C. Bradley, who was the head writer of What If, pitched an episode in the series to have Foster become Thor, but it was rejected due to the plotline already being in this film. It was reported in August 2019 that the director completed the script, however he went on to deny this later on in the month. Then went on to further say in the promotion of Jojo Rabbit that October that around the time he was actually completing the first draft of Love and Thunder script. A weird thing to find out around the time is that he wasn't particularly sure if they would be exploring the breast cancer part of the Mighty Thor comic books. However, Portman was the one to confirm it would be explored. The director said they were also still discussing how much time would pass between Endgame to this movie, and how much they would deal with the weight of the character being added on in the blip. We now know that the film is set 8 years after Thor and Foster's breakup in around 2024, so that would mean this is around set a year after Endgame. We also see a brief scene where Thor loses his weight. He also noticed that there was a ship between Valkyrie and Captain Marvel, however he didn't want to really do that. Jennifer was hired to work on the film's screenplay with the director in February 2020. The director however received full credit for the writing in the film's poster, with Jennifer being credited helping with the story. However, the Writers Guild of America has gone on to credit both for writing the film. 4 of 5 drafts of the screenplay were completed by mid-April 2020, when the director said the sequel was over the top in the best way imaginable, and made Ragnarok look like a safe film. He also wanted the film to feel as if it agreed to put everything a 10-year-old would ask for in the film, which I don't personally understand, but that's what he said. He also added that they were exploring more of Korg's culture. He expressed interest in having a Beta Ray Bill appear in the film, however was unsure if it would end up in the end of the film. By the way, it didn't happen. At the end of July 2020, he said that he'd been writing the script on and off for over a year. He wanted to say the script was very much of a romantic. He explained that he wanted to do a romance film because he wanted to do something he hadn't done before. That in October, Hemsworth said Waititi was still writing the script and had expressed his excellence of doing something drastically different with his character. Waititi himself went on to describe this as the craziest film he's ever made. He went on to say that it felt like a 1970s space opera with festive party-like tone. He also got the 1980s vibe for the posters, which took inspiration from films like Conan the Barbarian from 1982 and The Beastmaster from 1982 as well. It was also said to not be such a serious or dramatic film, but explore themes such as love, loss, and having a place in the world. James Gunn, the writer and director of the Guardians of the Galaxy films, consulted how the characters were used in this film, with both of them discussing where the characters were going to go before Waititi began writing this film. Both directors also read each other's scripts, with them both giving each other feedback. Chris Pratt went on to say himself that the film would carry on the rivalry between Star-Lord and Thor about who the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy was. Mentioning Chris Pratt, he revealed his return as Star-Lord in the film when pre-production began in Australia in October 2020. By December, Feige revealed that the film was delayed again until May 6, 2020, and also announced Bale would be portraying Gore the Butcher. The rest of the Guardians actors also announced their return, along with Jamie confirming her return as Sif. The film began on January 26, 2021 at Fox Studios Australia in Sydney. Bas Iodine served as the cinematographer after working with Waititi on The Mandalorian. Mentioning The Mandalorian, Industrial Light and Magic provided the same stagecraft virtual production technology they used on that show. The director has gone on to say that he felt he could shoot this film more effectively than what he was doing with Ragnarok, since he already had the experience of working on a Marvel Studios film. By early February, the Guardians actors completed their scenes. In early March, set photos revealed Luke Hemsworth, Matt Damon and Sam Neill reprising their roles as the Asgardian actors playing Thor, Loki and Odin, as they did in Ragnarok, with Melissa McCarthy also revealed to be portraying an actress playing Hela. These actors completed their work in 2 days. Alexander completed her scenes at the end of the same month. Russell Crowe was revealed to be appearing as Zeus, which was described as a fun cameo. It was revealed he was originally going to be playing Satan before the character change, and he also finished filming these scenes in April 2021. At the beginning of May, Waititi said there were 4 weeks left of shooting, while Iodine said he would be continuing his work on the film throughout the end of 2021. Filming overall wrapped on the 1st of June 2021. It was then confirmed that Goldblum would be returning as the Grand Master and Peter Dinklage would reprise his role as Uhtred from Infinity War. However, their scenes were cut, along with Lena Headey, who was approached by the director to appear in the film, but ultimately did not. Waititi said in early June 2021 that the post-production would be completed by February 2022. By October 2021, the release date was once again delayed, this time to July 8, 2022. Additional film then took place early this year. Further reshoots for Bale would go on to be done in March 18th. We now know that Brett Goldstein made his MCU debut in the mid-credit scene as Hercules, and Waititi revealed in July that Feige was the one who really wanted him for that role. Editors of this film were Matthew Schmidt, Peter S. Elliott, Tim Roche and Jennifer Vreltor. It was revealed all the way back in December of 2021 that Michael Giacchino, who previously scored the first Doctor Strange film, the MCU Spider-Man films and even Jojo Rabbit, would be composing this film. Waititi wanted the music to have the same aesthetic of the film with its loud and colourful palette. The film premiered in Hollywood on June 23rd, it was then released in Australia on July 6th, then UK, Ireland and New Zealand on July 7th, and it then finally released in the US on July 8th. The film, however, did not release in Malaysia. This is because Disney refused to make cuts of the country's requests. They then confirmed themselves that they wanted the LGBT elements cut from the film. The film was then released on Disney Plus on September 8th, a part of Disney Plus Day. The film has gone on to make $332.1 million in the US and $405 million everywhere else, overall making $737.1 million. It is so far the 6th highest grossing film of this year. Critically, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 65% from 420 reviews, and Metacritic gave it a 57 out of 100 based on 64 reviews. It has also been nominated for 7 awards at the 47th Saturn Awards. Some of them are for Best Superhero Film, Best Film Costume, and Best Film Makeup. And now on to my opinion. Honestly, this film just felt shallow, man. First off, Gore was actually amazingly set up and had a proper values like Thanos did in Infinity War and Endgame, and even was played by Christian Bale, who is a brilliant actor. However, he had limited screen time where it just all felt wasted. I was also excited to see Jane return, however a brilliant comic book story was just there to bring her back into Thor's life to again just pass away. Which is somewhat of a sweet ending, but part of me feels that Jane should have really been kept out of this film. Or ultimately, I personally think they should have done a Mighty Thor film with Jane. And then or a TV show maybe. And then we could have had this film. It could have had a bit of a more of an impact, if you get what I mean. The biggest problem, to be honest, is that I don't get why, yes, they had the success of Ragnarok, but they tried really hard with the comedy here. Well, I know it feels like everything's a massive joke in this film. And it's also got quite a dramatic plot, even with TT's comments, since, you know, Thor is a dramatic character, but again, it's just all played up as a massive joke. Even then, most of the jokes are bad, where me and my mates, when we seen the film, literally laughed at the film instead of with it. It has really outdated jokes, like, I get his comments on the 10-year-old thing, but did you really need screaming goats in your film? Overall, this film tries too hard to be something it really shouldn't be, to be honest. I'll give it a 2.5 out of 5 or a 5 out of 10, possibly even lower in the future. So that was me covering Love and Thunder. This was everyone's kind of highly anticipated film. I wouldn't say it was everyone's favourite going on for this phase, but definitely everyone had high hopes after Ragnarok. But it just turned out to be quite a disappointment. To a lot of fans, including me, I know there's a few of them out there that are like, well, it's entertaining for what it is. I can get that, but I just didn't really see it. I kind of expected something a bit more different. I expected a bit of jokes here and there, and it being colourful and flashy from the trailer shown with Ragnarok. However, Ragnarok still quite had a dramatic bit of elements into it, and this film kind of just treated the dramatic elements this time as a joke. But yeah, I'm not a massive fan of this film. Honestly, Eternals is better, in my own opinion, after literally calling Eternals mid on a video. But yeah, what are your thoughts, guys? Please comment down below. I'll be interested to see why you enjoy the film if you do, and honestly, I'll be interested to see, if you don't like the film, your reasonings why. Because you never know, it could be different. You could like a film for different reasons, or you could have the same opinion, but for different reasons as well. But yeah, also comment down below some extra facts if you have any about this film that I missed out in this video. And yeah, please like the video if you do like it, and if you've been seeing my content for a while now, maybe the MCU videos maybe, consider subscribing. Liking, commenting, subscribing ain't the big priority to me with this YouTube channel. I like covering stuff I'm interested in and getting to edit videos. However, as someone who is wanting to do YouTube, I can't just lie and say, oh, I don't care about it. So yeah, I'd appreciate it if you do, and thank you so much for watching this video. So I'll see you next week for Miss Marvel.
Old Spice. Marvel Studios store, Love and Thunder, only in theaters July 8th.